Hey guys, and welcome back to another Body Night Automotive video, and here we are with a BYD Shark TITAN PRO central locking canopy that has already been assembled by our installer Barry here and is ready to fit onto the car. We'll go over a few points of what to do when you're preparing the canopy before you're fitting it to the car, and I'll introduce Barry here, who will talk about what he's done to this particular canopy. So he's already built it, and there's another video coming about the assembly of this canopy. It's very similar to the regular Titan, the non-central locking one, but there is a few key differences. So Barry, what have you done so far? You've assembled it, and now you're up to the control box, yes?
Yeah, so a few of these have the control box not actually installed.
Yep.
And it's basically, this is the control box.
Yep.
And it's as simple as this plug will be out.
Yep. Yep. So that's a waterproof plug that goes in like so. It can only go in one way. It is pinned, and then you compress that lock, and that actually makes it watertight too. Although we don't recommend putting water on it when you're washing the canopy inside. It comes with a full loom, and this, what we call like an octopus, has the central locking, which is called door signal wire. These three here go into the wires that come from the panels. So the wiring on the canopy is pre-installed in a bundle, and it comes from the rear door, the side, and the two side doors. You've got a wire coming in, as you can see on there, and through there. Now you do have to run that yourself. There is places here where you can cable tie it to, make it nice and neat. We usually do that after the canopy is installed, and you will get this big plug for the rear door, which goes into there, like so, and then you get two smaller plugs, like so, they go into the side doors, and that controls your actuators and your central locking. The computer does the rest, and it communicates with the car, which we'll show you how to wire up later on in the video. So to connect, first we recommend connecting the plug, like Barry's done, to the control box, and then just plug it in and connect it as so. So he'll just connect it using the included fitting kit and a nut at the back. Future canopies will have this pre-installed, just the early batch doesn't. So you may not need to do this step. It may already be installed on future canopies, depending on when you're watching this video. So we'll let Barry install that, and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so Barry's finished putting the control box in onto the canopy, and now he's just going to show you how to plug these in. They are pretty self-explanatory. You just plug them in like so. The large plug is for the rear door, and the two side plugs are for the side doors. Now, it doesn't matter which plug you use, they open and close in sequence together. So as you can see, he'll just plug that in.
Once you find the right one.
Yes, there's a few wires there, so just double check them, and they'll go in. Now, you will be left over when you plug those in with the door signal line, which is a central locking, which we'll show you what to do with that later. You've got a 12-volt power in, and you've also got a 12-volt LED light, which will connect up later in the video. All right, perfect. So now that's pretty much all you need to do once you build the canopy, and we're going to go over the sill. So the sill is very important part of the canopy, I guess, assembly, and before you install it. We apply it to the canopies before you do it, and we basically apply it in a way that makes it look really nice and neat. It has to be straight, and there's a few tips that Barry can give you on why he does it like this.
Basically, I try to keep a small gap there. I can't even give you the measurements, but it's just about a 5 mil underneath.
Yep.
Just towards the inside. As when it compresses, you'll end up with a little bit of rubber. It'll be nice to get that rubber square with the body.
Yeah, just flush with the body, yeah?
It's a tricky one, but yeah, it's not too bad. So.
Yeah. In general, if you have a look at here, this is what Barry's done on this one, and he does a lot of these. So when that rubber actually squashes and compresses, it will be pretty even. It's impossible to get it 100% even, but it's very close, and it will look really neat.
Go as far out towards the end of the canopy as you can to get more bite on the sill. Yes,
exactly. So as you can see, he's gone as far out as he can, and it's nice and square in this part. It is easy for the seal to try and move across and not actually go square. So it's very important that you take care here and make it square. Otherwise, you might have a gap here which will let water in. So make sure it's square at the front of the canopy on both ends. Now, it's also important, we do supply a 3M promoter, which is just here with the canopy, and a primer. And basically you need to apply a decent amount of that to the surface of the powder coating on the underneath before you stick the seal on. Otherwise it won't stick. So it comes with a little applicator brush, as seen there, and you apply it in there, let it dry, and then when you stick the seal on, it will stick really, really well, and it won't come off. If you don't use it, it will come off, especially if you're locating the canopy on the car later on. So we've gone, Barry's gone on and applied the seal, as you can see, all the way through, down the bottom, and as you can see, nice and square here, and onto the ends like so. So this is the BYD Shark, and similar applies to other models if you're watching for a model that we haven't filmed yet. All right, so that's basically the prep of the canopy after the assembly. And after this, we're going to show you what to do on the car before we put it on the car. Here we are with this beautiful white BYD Shark, as you can see, and we're going to prep it for the canopy installation. So we do leave the plastic trim on the BYD Shark, so the factory plastic trim stays on. That's really important. You don't remove this trim. And you just give it a wipe down, make sure there's no wax, dirt or anything else, ceramic coating or anything that could cause the seal to slip or not seal properly.
And take the bird poo away as well.
Yes. If you've got any bird poo as a bonus on that, we do recommend removing it prior to installation, as you can see Barry doing on there. And you might be wondering, we have actually fitted one of our Ultra Glide New Works drawers to this Shark, which are shown there and are available from our website. So Barry's just prepared that, and now on the BYD Shark, on the plastic trim, it does have a big gap between the header board and the actual the lip on the tub. Now you have to, we don't recommend it, you have to put a bit of silicone in there to seal it, otherwise water will get in through there. So we'll show you how the Barry does that. This is just regular black silicone that we're using. And you do both sides like so. Now don't worry about it being a bit raised and unneat at the moment. Once the canopy's fitted on, we'll finish it off, we'll show you that later, and it'll be nice and smooth and neat. There you go. So he's evened it off now and made it nice and neat, and later on we'll just touch it up once we get the canopy on there. Because when the seal goes on there and you're shifting the canopy forward and back, it might move the silicone just slightly. So there you go, and as you can see, that's almost a perfect finish there.
Almost.
Almost, yeah. Barry will get better as he does more.
Good on you.
All right, and finally, we do recommend you clean the rear window on the cabin, because the canopy sits about 10 mil from the window. It can be a bit tricky to clean. So just give it a good wipe down clean. Remove any stickers that are on the cabin if there are any, because that will be impossible to remove once the canopy's there, and give it a wipe down. That's pretty much all you need to do to prep the vehicle, on the Shark that is, for the Titan Pro canopy. And we'll be back in a second with the lifting and positioning of the canopy on the car. Just before we put the canopy on top of the Shark here, Barry's going to explain what he's done here. So he's got the 12-volt wire.
Normally this would have a fuse and the ground connector on it, but I cut that off to make it easier to get it through.
Yep.
I've also just taped the central locking wire a little bit further down so that we can pull a whole lot through in one hit.
Yep, okay. And that goes through. Now, Barry recommends putting this through the tub here, through a cavity in there, before you put the canopy on. It's just easier to do.
Yeah, I just don't want to hit my head on the top of the canopy.
Yeah.
So there's actually a nice little gap just up underneath the lip here.
Yep.
And you pretty much just feed as much as you can in. It will self-drop down to the bottom of the car.
Yep.
That's the plan. It doesn't always happen, but this feels like it's doing it, which is good. Give it a jiggle.
So we actually, the canopy comes with the wiring loom for the battery and the central locking. Now you will have to do a bit of an extension there on the central locking wire, because every vehicle is a little bit different, and you need to, with the Shark, go into the cabin and connect it in there. So as you can see, Barry's just connected it up.
That's the extension on the central lock, because the central lock that you get is this section.
So that's the section you get with a central lock, and then you got to run the extension in there.
Yeah, probably doesn't need to be as long as I've got there, but yeah.
Yeah, and we give you this wire as part of the kit. It's much thinner than the main part of the central locking, so you can run it through the grommet in there. Now that comes down into here, Barry.
Up and underneath.
So he ran it through there. There's no drilling required or anything like that. Now we'll try and show you as much as possible underneath the car here. So you just reach inside, And just at the back of the cabin between the tub, is it, Barry?
Yeah, just at the back, there's a big hole where the...
Normally you can reach in there and grab it. There he is, he's got it.
Pull that through, give yourself a little bit. Don't need too much.
There you go.
That's it.
And now he's got that wire that we went through the top of the tub down in here. And the next step would be, later on, once we connect it, you go in passenger side rear seat. Underneath the seat, there's actually a little Velcro cover there. And on the BYD Shark, very unique to this car, there's actually the battery and a lot of the other connections under the seat here on the passenger side. Very easy to reach. And there is a grommet that Barry will just show you here. There is actually a grommet right there. That grommet in the middle there. You can puncture that, drill it out, and then get the wire through there. And it's factory provided, so quite easy to actually reach. So we'll do that later on and connect it up to the vehicle, and we'll show you those steps. And now we'll chuck the canopy on top. And just another quick preparation or tip from Barry. Our brackets do use the factory mounting points to actually attach the canopy to the vehicle. And you can see the pre-fitted screws there, which are the hex, are they?
Yeah.
Hex style. Okay. The factory bolts are T40 hex style, and we remove them before because it's a bit easier. You can remove them inside once you get the canopy on top, but we remove them beforehand. Now, as you can see, they can be tricky to remove. Just go along the side of the tub on both sides and remove. A total of 6 bolts. Like so, and then we come around here. Now if you don't have a good Milwaukee tool like this, we recommend a bit of heat. Put a bit of heat in them with a hairdryer or whatnot, and they might come out a bit easier.
Not on this.
There you go, he's got it off and all done. We recommend minimum of 3 guys to lift, 4 recommended. And you go over the car like this, and you slow down as you get to the end, slowly place it on the header board, and don't get too close to the cabin. You want to be about 8 to 10 mil from the cabin. Now you can adjust and shift the canopy once it's down, like so. Open up the panels, and then we will position it and shift it on the canopy by moving it to the left and to the right. But basically that's just how you plunk it on, and now we're going to align it and adjust it. So the trick is to be, if you're looking between the cabin and the front of the canopy, the cabin on the Shark has a curved edge that actually goes towards the canopy. You want to be roughly 8 to 10 mil from the glass, but not too far back, because then you'll have issues around this area if you come around here. You want to be sort of just on the edge of that plastic, but not too close to the window. So there is a bit of adjustment that you have to do by shifting the canopy forward, shifting it to the side, and making sure everything lines up properly. Give yourself a good 10-15 minutes to align that properly with a mate, push it and yank it so that it's in the right position, because this will help install the brackets much easier. The brackets have a little bit of play with a slotted hole, but you do need to have it in the right position, otherwise the brackets will be hard to fit. So as you can see, the boys here, Barry and Troy, are adjusting the canopy and measuring out where it's sitting. They're making sure that it's not too close to the glass on the front, and the sides and the front are perfect. So take your time when you're installing the canopy. It'll make it much easier to fit, and it'll make the rear door close nicely over the tailgate here. If you're too far back or too far forward, this one closed nicely. So take your time, adjust it. Make sure you test with the tailgate closed so you can see where it's sitting. So we've got the canopy on top and positioned where we want it mostly, and now the canopy comes with some bolts that we give you. Now firstly, these bolts here are the factory bolts that we removed from the side of the tub. You can reuse these, but we actually give you these, 12 of these with a washer. We recommend using these only because we find they're a bit easier to go back into the side of the tub than the factory ones. You can try using these if you want them black, but we recommend these. So there's 12 of these with a washer. Now these longer bolts that we give you in the same package as these are to basically join the two brackets. So the bracket that's pre-welded onto the canopy and the bracket that we fit to the side, which we'll show you in the next step. These two compress and join them. So you put a washer on the top and a washer on the bottom, and then the bolt through, and you don't need to, we do include a spring washer, you don't need to use it. All you need is the nylock that is included. That sticks really well. Make sure you got it well positioned, because once that nylock bites, it bites and it keeps the canopy on, very secure. So yeah, so that's the options that you got to mount the canopy, and we'll go through the bracket mounting next. Brackets. So these brackets actually mount to the side of the vehicle using the factory holes that we showed you before, and then they attach using the bolts to the pre-welded brackets to the body of the canopy. Now these are already on the canopy. Now there's 3 brackets, 2 small brackets here and 1 longer bracket like so. The difference between the 2 brackets is one's for the front, one's for the back, and if you have a look, the back bracket only has 1 slotted hole, and the front bracket has 2 slotted holes on the top, and also 2 slotted half moon kind of holes, and the other one's got 2 there. So the main difference to tell them apart front to back is that one's got 1 slotted hole on the top, and that one's got 2 slotted holes. That's how you tell. Front is 2, rear is 1 slotted hole. All right, now Barry, tell us about these half moons that we've got here, and you may need to sometimes adjust those, yeah?
Yep. So as you line it up, you're basically going to line up the center of that hole in the bracket with the hole in this bracket. And if you look down inside here, you can see where sometimes these half moons might be a little bit off center to where you need it. Generally, they're pretty good. If you do have an issue, basically a flat file, just take off the edge of the half moon and you can pretty much move the bolt around a little bit better to get it to line.
Perfect, okay.
We'll set this one up.
Yep.
So it's just a case of washer on the bolt, bit of fiddling to get it in.
They can be a bit fiddly to install. We've done quite a number of these Sharks at the, since they came out, and the factory holes, once you remove the factory bolts, can be a bit tricky. They either have a bit of gunk or paint in there, so they can be a bit tricky. Just take your time, don't cross-thread them, and align it. Now the bracket luckily is slotted, so there is a little bit of forgiveness in there, and just take your time installing it to align it. And you do this for the rear, middle and front brackets on both sides. So we'll just let Barry install this one, then we'll move to the middle one once he's done. And there you go, that bracket is now nicely fitted, and as you can see lines up with the one at the top, so you put a bolt through there. He'll show you how to do that.
So we use the smaller bolts in here and the larger, longer bolt in the top. Washer on first. Washer on the bottom. Just hand tighten it for now, and then once you get them all in, then we'll run around and do them all up.
Yeah, so don't tighten them just now. Leave them loosely like that, because you might need to still adjust the canopy as we go. All right, Barry's moving now to the middle bracket. It's pretty much the same process. It's a longer bracket that we've designed to structurally hold the whole section of the canopy in there. Again, attach the 2 bolts that we provide, and then I put the larger bolt through the middle, just like so. Now a good torque wrench like that is recommended, impact driver, sorry, because it will make it much easier to actually get the bolts out and in. All right, guys, so now Barry's doing the final bracket on the driver's side of the vehicle, and he's just installing the front bracket here on the driver's side. Just like the others, the middle and the back that we showed you before, 2 bolts straight into the vehicle with the bolts that we supply, a washer bolt, and then the larger bolt at the top. Now he's going to attach it. This is a tricky area to work in because of the, I guess, the corner and the tightness of it, and you're laying down. Take your time with it. Make sure that the that the hole on the top bracket that's welded onto the canopy lines up with the slotted hole on the bottom bracket. If it doesn't, means you've got the canopy in the wrong spot, or you need to just slightly adjust the position of the canopy. There is only one spot that the bracket will really go into. There is a bit of play in it because it's slotted, so you can go left and right, but you'll notice that if you have issues here, you will need to just finally, maybe possibly move the canopy slightly. That's why you don't do up the brackets nice and tight at the other side before you do this. Make sure all the brackets are nice and loose with these top holes. So as you can see, Barry's just done that. He's actually attached it, and it's all positioned nicely. Now we'll do the other side, just like this side, and then we'll continue on. So Barry's now done up all the brackets, and now he's actually compressing the canopy down, or tightening it down basically, by doing the long bolts up. So you use 2 13mm spanners, one on top, one on bottom to hold it, and just keep doing them up till they're pretty good hand tight, Barry?
Yep, not over the top.
Not over the top, you don't want to go too hard.
There's a bit of flex in it, so it'll flex it down and keep the pressure on the rubber.
There you go. So yeah, you just go from front to back on each side, and that will actually compress and secure the canopy nicely to the tub. It will actually make the seal on the outside of the canopy, we'll show you later once it's all done, nice and squashed and even. It looks quite good once it's done. So we'll keep on doing this for every bracket, and we'll come back on to the next step. Now all the brackets are installed and the canopy is compressed onto the tub. It's sitting where it's supposed to, and you check the rear door. Now the rear door always will require some adjustment to close because every vehicle is a little bit different. So what you do is you basically try and close it. You can hear it hitting the latches and the striker, but it's just not enough. So we will have to adjust the strikers on both sides on this canopy, and you're supposed to be able to give it a bit of a whack because it is a heavy duty kind of hardy canopy. So you give him a bit of a whack, and that's supposed to close. If it isn't, what you do is Barry's now adjusting this striker, as you can see. Now try and keep it in the same position once you do it up. It's a very easy adjustment, 10mm spanner. Loosen the nuts on the back, give it a bit of space, as you can see. On this one, we reckon we need quite a bit, probably more than 5 or 6mm. A little bit more on the top maybe, like so. And then you do the same on the black nuts. You just move them in closer while holding them back. So what you're doing is you're trying to make the striker come out to the back of the car, and that way it will actually, if we show this part here, underneath there's a latch mechanism. It will actually go in there and latch on. So you do this on both sides, and you will need to adjust it depending on your particular canopy and on your vehicle and where it's sitting. If you move the canopy too far back, the door will close easy, but you won't seal nicely. If you move it too far forward, it'll be harder to close, and you'll have to take this one out. Now it is important, as I said from the start, at the start of the video, when you're placing it on the car, you've got at least 8 to 10mm of gap from the front window. So you want it to sit here. The way we've got it, the edge of the canopy is roughly on the edge of the plastic on the BYD Shark. So this is where you want it, and then just check the door and adjust it. This is only for the rear door. So Barry's doing this side here now. So you loosen again the rear nuts. Depending on how much you need, you may need to do this 2 or 3 times. Give it 3 or 4mm, close the door. If it's still not closing, give it a bit more. You will get to a point where the door will close nice and snug, and it will be well adjusted. So we'll adjust it here, check the door again, and that's one of the important steps before you continue with any of the wiring and installation of the canopy. All right, guys, so we've adjusted these strikers to come out, and now we've got in the position. Now, when the canopy is still new, these seals are pretty proud, so it does push back. You need to give it a good whack to close it, like so. And as you can see, it closes quite nicely. Open it. You can also try and close it from the striker location, like this, and very easy to close. As you can see, it closes every time. So that's the adjustment for the rear door once you've bolted down the brackets. We're up to the rear tail light, so you do have to, the canopy comes with a high mount brake light on the rear door, and you do have to take off the connector to the rear tail lights. And to do that, you first off start with disconnecting the tail light. On the Shark, there's 2 bolts that hold it. Barry will show you how he does it.
It's just a 10mm to take the 2 bolts out, and then a gentle, have your hand here to ready to catch it, and then a gentle tap here, and the whole tail light will just pop out. But be ready to catch it.
Yep. And then you've got the plug
Little
in
plug
there.
just inside here. Little release, which I can't do while I'm trying to stay out of the way. Fiddly little thing.
Just take your time with the plug while trying to release the plug. It can be a bit tight, and you might want to get someone to hold it, like so. And make sure you don't drop the tail light.
Well, it's only because I'm standing out.
There you go. And as you can see, when you remove the tail light, it actually reveals the cavity of the vehicle inside. Now, all utes and most vehicles, SUVs, are designed for the water to drain, if there is any water coming from anywhere, behind the tail lights. So that's a natural cavity normally where water will drain out. In here, you can see there's a lot of space to work. And what we're going to do next is run the wire that comes from here, which you can see. The rear tail light is fitted onto the canopy. Barry's run it just across here. This is part of the assembly of the canopy. In here, he cable ties it along the top of the roof on the back panel, comes down the side here, and then there's about this much wire left, and he will drill a hole in that area here on the tub. What size drill bit?
Probably 6 mils.
6 to 8 mil.
Yeah, it just depends on the cable.
Just to make it nice and neat. Now we supply this cable, which is probably 6 to 8 mil, and 6 mil straight through there. That cable will come out here, and then we'll show you how to wire it up to the actual tail light. So you just grab your drill and start drilling like so. And now he's made the hole for the wiring.
Just a little deburring tool that you can get at any hardware, just to go around and take the really sharp edge off the metal, so you're not cutting the wire. Then I have a Sharpie paint pen, just to stop any rust or any bits and pieces.
So that's a special Sharpie paint pen that actually applies like a 2-pack paint.
Yeah, it's like a 2-pack with a rust inhibitor.
Yep, rust inhibitor. So it actually stops the rust forming on that area that you just drilled. If you don't have one of these, recommended you get one for this job. Otherwise, any sort of 2-pack paint with a brush will also work. Now Barry's going to feed the wire from the high mount brake light that we showed you before into the back there, and we'll come around to the back of the tail light and show you where it comes out. So let's go there. Yep. And as you can see, the wire comes straight through the top there to the back, and you've got nice access to the plug.
As Tech was explaining before, the cable you get is this one, which is the one you extend through the roof here and down into the hole. It is actually a 3-core wire, and you'll have a common, and basically all I do is get rid of that blue, not required. It's for a tail light, but these are only brake lights. On the actual light, you end up with two wires that are going to be both positive. So they're the two that you're going to join to your red, and your black will be to your yellow, so your 2 negatives together. At the other end, I just cut off the extra wire that you don't need, which is the blue. No reason for it. And that's what you join down to your tail light down at the back of the car. We'll show you that in a minute. To very, very carefully trim down that bit of wire. What we don't want to hit is any of the wire. We just want to get rid of the outer sheath so that we can get to the wires. I give it a little bit more because we want to join halfway down here. We don't want to be up here. We want to be down here to give it a bit of room to move. In this model BYD that we've got at the moment, your stop light is your red wire and your black wire, which will equate to red wire and yellow wire. Same.
So we recommend either getting someone to hold the light for you if you're doing it at home yourself, or get a nice little bench or table just to hold the light, put a rag under it. And as you can see, Barry's just splicing into the wire there. We recommend using this tool
Just
to do it.
normal set of wire strippers.
Wire strippers, yes. Otherwise, you don't want to damage anything. And then he's splicing in, and he'll be soldering it in, as you can see. Now, just quickly, if the wires change in the vehicle, manufacturers are known to change lights and colors of wires from time to time, and you're watching this video a year or two after we've made it, we do recommend, if you're not getting the signal coming through, to do a test light and get someone to press the brake while you're testing and find the brake wire. That's the only possibility if those two wires do not give you the function that you need, which is on and off for the brake light. So as you can see, be very careful. Barry's just soldering those wires. You can look at the colors there. I'll just zoom in on there, as you can see. And then he will seal it up with electrical tape, and that will be done for the tail light. We'll show you how to lock it all up in just a minute. So there you go. Always just apply some electrical tape to seal it. Make sure there's no, the two wires, make sure the two wires do not connect or join together, and seal it up like that. And that's as good as new. And now your high mount brake light is connected to the vehicle and will turn on with the brake light in sync with the vehicle. Once all that's done, just trim off any excess of the factory sleeve that you've cut off. And now we recommend using proper electrical cloth tape to join and seal the rest of the wire. This obviously goes in place of the factory sleeve that was there, and will basically make it as good as factory once it's all sealed up. You can see Barry's just running that all around the wire and making sure that it's nice and tight without any gaps, in case, because there is water that gets to the back of the tail lights. It's not normal, so you just want to make it nice and tight like so, and the end result will be like that. You wouldn't even know that we've been in there. To put the plug back in, plug it in nice and easy, and to reinstall the tail light is basically reverse of how you removed it. Place it in place, hit it from the left, and then put the bolts back in like Barry's doing there, and your rear tail light and high mount brake light wiring is done. So on the BYD Shark 2, we're going to show you how to connect the central locking to the vehicle for the canopy. Now, to actually get in there, on the BYD Shark, we go into the passenger side pillar just behind that, which we'll show you in a minute. But to access that area, you actually have to remove the sill on the front passenger door, the sill on the rear passenger door, and also the plastic entrance sill that Barry's removing right there, which I'll try and capture. There's a limited space here. As you can see, just place that down. Now be careful, there's a lot of gunk, like a silicone glue on that sill, as you can see through there. Just be careful with that, so watch yourself on that. By removing that, it lets you access the rear panel, which I'll show you in just a minute. We will do the same for the rear door now. So on the rear here, likewise, just pull back the seal. It comes off pretty easy. All around, down the side of the pillar too, through there. And then just unclip the entrance sill. It comes off pretty easy like that. Just be careful if it's not to break it. And then I'll come around the other side and show you the middle pillar. All right, we're in the car now, and you got to remove this side pillar panel. Now, once you got the sills off, it actually comes off pretty easy, as you can see there. Oh, Barry's just an expert.
If the car wasn't full of stuff.
Yes, we removed some of the stuff. Okay, now once you remove that plastic pillar, it reveals the brake. Sorry, not the brake. The seatbelt area, and also the central lock wiring. Now, there's only one wire that goes into the side pillar, and that is the central locking wire, and also controls the windows, the doors, and whatnot. We will show you in just a minute which wire to connect into, so that you can hook up and get the open and close signal for the canopy. Once you get to the plug, you got to remove the protective factory sleeve on that. Just be very careful not to cut any of the wires. That's why we do recommend professional installation on electrical stuff. But if you are to do it yourself and doing it, just be very careful. As you can see, very gently using a Stanley knife. Just take your time with it, don't rush it, and you will remove some of that sleeve, because you have to solder in, identify the two wires that we'll show you, and solder into the plug wiring for the central locking. Now, on all the cars we've done so far, the central locking open signal is on the green wire, which we'll show you in a minute, and the central locking close signal is on the black and white wire. So you can see the plug there. Barry's just going to remove a bit more of that, and once we've got the two wires identified, we'll show you a zoomed in shot. All right, so here we identify the two wires that you need. So you can sort of see where they come out of the plug. There's a green wire, that's the open signal, and a black and white wire, that is the closed signal. Barry, if I get your light on there for just a sec. There you go. So those two wires, you can see where they're coming out of the plug, and green for open signal, black and white for close. We'll show you how to join the wire from the canopy in just a minute and how to run it through the grommet under the rear seat. So on the BYD Shark, as I mentioned before, the rear battery connection is under the rear passenger seat, and you just flip the seat up like we have here, as you can see, and then you get in there. Now Barry is showing you, he's drilling like an 8mm hole into the rubber grommet that is pre-installed by the factory for accessory fitment. He's drilling 2 holes. So you'll have 12 volt power and ground, and then you'll have the central locking wire to go into the cabin. Now it's very easy on the BYD Shark because you don't have to run it to the engine. You just basically go in through that grommet under the rear, like we showed you at the start of the video, and you connect in to the back there. Now we'll show you in just a minute which terminals to access. All right, so Barry is actually now under the car, and he's gonna, the wire that we run at the start of the video, he's gonna put those wires through that grommet into the cabin. You've got 12 volt positive and ground joined together, and then you've got the central locking open and close wires going through that grommet in just a minute. There you go. Now if you join them like Barry did together, it'll be much easier to get it through that grommet. There you go, that's one. Now, we won't show you all the details of the cable tying under the car and whatnot, but you basically obviously make it all neat, tied to existing loom or side panels. Make sure it's not hanging loose, so nothing, when you're going off-roading or just driving in regular traffic, it doesn't hit on anything and pull the wiring out or damage anything. Make sure you cable tie all the wiring nice and neat under the vehicle to existing looms and run it nicely. So once you've got the wire coming out through the grommet, you basically run it as Barry's doing here, under the panel, as he's showing you there, under that sort of fake floor panel, down the side where the pillar is, and up through the pillar into there, as you can see. Yep. And then you'll be ready to connect the green and the black and white wires that we showed you before to our extended wiring that we give you to extend the central locking. So here we are. Now we're going to connect the negative or ground to the vehicle there, and that's the spot that we recommend doing it. That's how we do all the Sharks. It's a nice safe ground right there that Barry's doing with a 13mm spanner. Just, if you can, try and remove the nut that's on there and attach the canopy wiring without letting go of the other grounds, because that can reset your clocks and other features in the car, like Barry's done here. If you do it, it won't cause any harm, but you might just need to reset some of your settings in the vehicle. So best to try and do it as Barry has done there, without, when you undo the bolt, hold the others with one hand and then do the bolt up without disconnecting them, so you're not interrupting the power. So that's the ground right there. Now we're going to connect the 12 volt positive that we put through the grommet before. And we recommend going into the terminal point right there.
Just grab a 10mm.
Get a 10mm washer.
And a nut.
And a nut.
Might be something you have to get from the hardware. Or
you might have to get it from the hardware store. So because that terminal point is without any fixings, and you can attach it to that terminal point. You can also use any other accessories in that same area. So we connect the 12 volt there, do it up, and next we're going to connect the central locking wire into the pillar right there, guys. So there you go, nice and tight right there, and that's your 12 volt and ground connected to the battery under the rear passenger seat. Now we're up to the point where we're going to connect the canopy central locking into the vehicle central locking wiring. So this is the extension wire that you're going to need to connect to the central locking harness at the canopy end. This is the extension wire, roughly 4 meters, that we give you with the canopy. You need to connect that and then run it through the vehicle as shown before, through the grommet under the floor, down the side of the pillar. And now Barry here is going to prepare that and connect it to the vehicle central locking wiring like so.
What did you say was lock again?
So lock is black and white wire and unlock is green wire.
When I joined these two wires, I made the red lock and the black unlock.
Okay, so it depends on how you're going to join them on the other end when you connect them to the main power as a signal wire in. But on this one, Barry, he's done red is lock and black is unlock, yeah?
Yep.
Just be careful, as you can see, Barry's using his wire tool.
What did you say
there.
was lock again?
Black and white. Barry does so many vehicles that, you know, and every vehicle is different. You'd be surprised that there isn't an industry standard, guys.
Nah, standard.
Yeah, it's with so many vehicles, every wire, every color is different. And some vehicles are really tricky where you get two greens, for example, that are different thicknesses. But on the Shark, you've just got the green for open and black and white for close. So I'll let Barry just continue that and we'll show you once he's joined the wires up. Alright guys, so Barry's joined the black and white. Now he's joining and soldering the green open wire, like so. So just make sure they're soldered, then they're electrical taped, and then he'll use the fabric tape on top to seal it up like we did with the tail light. And once that's done, like so, you can see the central locking is connected. Then you just got to put the wires back and reassemble the different parts of the vehicle, the side panel, the two entrance seals, front and rear, and then the rubber seals all around. It's basically as easy as that. We'll skip this part as he just makes it all nice and neat, and we'll continue to the next step. Thank you. So there you go guys, just Barry's finishing off here with the wiring and running the fabric tape after he's sealed it and obviously soldered and then sealed the individual wires. And now he's running the fabric tape just to make it nice and neat and finish it off around the plug. There won't be any water really getting into here, but just make it nice and neat. That's what you get when you get a professional installing the canopy for you. Okay guys, so we've connected all and finished up inside, connected everything. Now we're connecting the control box inside the canopy to the to the central locking on the door, and also the 12 volt power. So those two wires that we just connected to the battery and the pillar on the side, we now connect them to the side. For now, just put the wires to the back there. We'll clean them up later. You can do them however you wish. And we're going to do a test of the actual central locking. So what you do is just run it with the factory remote, open and close. Okay guys, so we've connected everything up as you saw, and you basically just do a test. So once everything is connected, close all the doors on the canopy, and then lock and unlock the car using the factory remote, and all three doors should open and close with the vehicle. So they should basically copy and sync with the vehicle. Now it does come with two spare remotes, so you can actually use those remotes. You've got to program them within the first 2 or 3 minutes of connecting power. If you don't program them within the first 2 or 3 minutes, then you won't be able to program them. And you'll have to disconnect the power and then reconnect again to reset the pairing mode. To program them, you just press close open on one remote, then immediately after, but not at the same time, close open on the second remote, and you can use those two remotes to open the canopy independently of the vehicle. Most of the time you'll be using it with a factory key fob, but we have built in this function that you get these two spare remotes and you can use them to open and close the vehicle independently of the actual vehicle, which is great if you're going camping or something like that and you want to open the canopy while having the vehicle locked. So that's a great feature. Test all the sides, open, close. Once everything's right, then you do your cable tying and connections at the back. Now we're going to do the 12 volt LED light. Yep, Barry?
Because this is a constant live power,
yes.
Make sure before you do anything with that, you disconnect the power to the canopy so that you don't short it out accidentally.
Okay, so yeah, disconnect the power after testing the central locking, because it is a constant 12 volt power. You don't want to short circuit anything. And to connect the 12 volt, it's a hardwired 12 volt LED strip that we fit to the roof at the back of the canopy. I'll show you where we fit it while Barry's climbing in and out. With the drawers, as you can see guys, it makes it a lot trickier, but we do recommend fitting the drawers before you do the canopy. Now we fit the LED light just in there on the corner. It has a really nice light that comes down and we put the switch here. We'll show you once Barry cable ties it and connects it all, but we basically connect it up through here, through there. You may need to extend the wire depending on where you're positioning the light, and then we go into here. And as Barry said, he does recommend disconnecting. Well, he says you have to pretty much disconnect the control box because it is constant 12 volt power. You don't want to blow any fuses. After you reconnect it again, you will have to pair your remotes if you are using those spare remotes to have that additional functionality. All right.
Canopy for the light.
Barry's just prepping the canopy for the light. So like we did with the seal at the very start, you do have to use some of that 3M promoter. As you can see, Barry's putting it just on a rag, a clean rag, and wiping down that area that is going to stick to the LED strip. There's the LED strip just below there. It does come with a prefixed 3M wire and a decent amount of length of wire, but you may need to extend it depending on where you're putting it. A lot of guys fit it in the middle of the canopy, then you don't have to extend it, but it might be a bit hard to reach the switch. We put it where Barry just wiped there, and we put the plug on the side here. Let's have a look at how he does that. Remove the tape, position in the center, and just stick it on. Now on a cold day like today in winter, you might need to just give it a bit of a firm push. On a warm day, the tape will stick much quicker and easier. There's the wire. It's a 12 volt that we give you. Now Barry just runs it through the back. How you run it is really entirely up to you. You probably want to make it nice and neat. We always do. We do all the cable tying and neatness at the end. Once everything's working and perfect, you don't want to do all that work and find something is wrong. Not that it should go wrong, but you never know. Run the wire down to here, and the actual switch will be somewhere in here.
Yep. I run the switch just there, and then I cable tie the cable back up to here, and then we run the cable across.
We run the cable across to the constant 12 volt in here, and that's where you may need to extend the wire, just like so. All right, we'll come back once Barry does that wiring. Okay guys, and here Barry's just finishing off that 12 volt hardwired LED light for the interior. He's connecting it up in there and soldering it on. After that you'll connect the power, and that will be pretty much done for the wiring. Same as before, you just solder it, electrical tape, and then the fabric tape just to make it all nice and neat. And then your LED light will be connected. Alright, so Barry's now connected it up to the control box on the other end, to the constant 12 volt, and now he's just extended and obviously joined the other part of the wire here. And as you can see, he'll have the plug on the side here, just there. There you go. So easy to reach. Where you put it is really entirely up to you. You could have it in the middle, on the left, on the right. We recommend on the left because that's where the control box is, less extension of wire. But just put it wherever you like and connect it up like so, and then cable tie it and make it all nice and neat. Final step, and the fun step, all that wiring that you've got running from the back panel, the side panels, the 12 volt wire, and central locking, you now just cable tie it. As you can see, run it however you like, make it as nice and neat as possible. So as you can see, we're just finishing off. Barry's running across the whole canopy, adjusting the wiring and cable tying it all nice and neat. And that's pretty much the canopy installed. As you can see, the hardwired 12 volt light is on, looking really nice in there. And the canopy is on the car and ready to go. We've repaired the remotes, and we've tested all the central locking again after doing the 12 volt internal light, and it's ready to go. Now, we do recommend that you, once you finish everything up, get a clean rag, WD-40 on the rag, and just wipe it down with WD-40. The black powder coating on our canopies and roller covers is amazing. It loves WD-40. The WD-40 protects it, keeps it nice and black and shiny, and we recommend applying it at least every 3 months or so, minimum twice a year, just to keep it nice and neat. The powder coating won't fade if you don't do it, but we recommend doing it because it will keep it nice and neat. So we'll do that, and this car will be on its way for another adventure. So thank you for watching this installation video with Barry. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, or give us a call at Bodyline Automotive. And thank you for watching.